Hi, my name's Ken. I'm with Integris, and thank you for joining me today. What I want to talk to you about is the whole Shopify experience, and I want to talk to you about some spammy stuff, and just kind of updating you on what I see in my world as a developer. And so the first thing I want to do is share an email that my client had sent me that someone had sent her. Right, so she forwarded it over to me. And this email was unsolicited. It was a spam-based email. And basically, it just said, "Hi, I looked at your beautiful website," we did that, "and realized that unlike other successful online stores, you're still using the outdated WordPress platform to sell your products." So there's a contention that WordPress is an outdated solution and that she needs to consider to use the Shopify experience. So what I did was, first of all, I finished reading the email and I go, that's kind of weird for a certified, partner to spam people. I'm sure they don't recommend that. And after some research and contacting the Shopify people, this person does not represent them, and nor is this person a partner according to the Shopify people. When I went in and started doing a little more homework, I found out that this is actually out of Uganda. And not that there's anything wrong with Uganda or right with Uganda, but I would argue that if you're having someone develop your website, they do need to be familiar with your culture. They do need to be familiar with the way that things are within the area in which you operate. So once I'd done this, I got a little bit more curious, and I started to go, okay, well, where is WordPress on this whole market share thing? And so where it took me was the most popular CMS is WordPress. 22,674,100 active websites tracked. The Shopify, as of 2017, 1 million active users. So as you can see, WordPress is far, 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 far from being irrelevant. It's actually very popular system and remains to be. Now, there are benefits to using WordPress. So, for example, if you go buy into the Shopify system, what you're going to find is something called a proprietary system. A proprietary system is one that they've built and they use within the Shopify framework. This means that you have to learn their solution. Common sense, right? Well, with WordPress, you have to learn its solution. Now, the difference between a WordPress solution and a Shopify solution is that WordPress is what's known as open source. What that means is you can kind of take the code that you've got, the general WordPress code, and you can actually give that to another developer should you grow tired of that developer or they're not performing or doing what you need them to do at that level. So you can kind of move it, but you never have to relearn a system. And you see, that's a huge, huge benefit, not having to relearn something, especially when it's so widely used. That means there's a wide assortment of people who develop under it. That means you're going to have an easier time finding developers. That means that you're going to be able to move in and out of it. And so the WordPress system does have its benefits should you grow tired of a proprietary system where you're more locked into it, and then you have the pain of migrating, moving, and relearning. And today's busy times, if you don't have to relearn something, why relearn something? So what happened was it took me down a natural trail. Now, the reason it took me down this trail was because the Shopify system has shown up on, like I said, on my radar several times. I think I mentioned that. And, without getting too far into it, I kind of want to just take you through what I've experienced today, because I'm like, well, how easy is it to develop within that framework? And so I went back into it today, and I didn't have a lot of time. I had a grand total of about 2 hours into this today, and I was on and off as I was doing other things. So as you can see, I put a header up here at the top. And this is just kind of the out of the box template. And I started chatting with Misha, and very nice, very, very nice person. And what you're seeing is I want to move this to here. I mean, just move that down there. I want to make this bigger, and I want to put a background image behind this bar. So basically just move stuff around a little bit. And you have to do this, guys, in marketing. You can't just go with the template out of the box for a lot of reasons beyond the scope of what I'm doing here. But anyway, I just said, yeah, I want the above the gray bar, not inside it. I thought, let me just see how easy it is to move stuff. I said I'd also like to change the font to a Google font and add a background photo and overlay orange on top of the background photo. So Misha wrote back, she says, I understand that gray bar request could be done by our theme support. However, you need to be on a paid plan. I get that. That makes sense. As they have 60 minutes of design time for small tweaks like this. So I get 60 minutes, and I don't know what happens after minute 60. My guess is I have to go into some kind of advanced payment program. As for the Google font, I would check out the font library we've built in. We've just updated this and have plenty to choose from. That's great. For custom fonts, this requires some coding, not supported by Shopify. That's understandable too. And she did have a doc, and she said, find the background photo and orange overlay would be doable. I actually have a theme guide for debut, which would help walk you through achieving this. So let's break this down a little bit. So what I'm trying to do is something very simple. I want to change the font in here. I want to add a background image in here. I want to lay orange over top of it where you can see the image peeking through orange. And I just want to have it below the title, right? And she's telling me that I have 60 minutes of theme support. Now, I didn't get beyond the top of the website. So keep in mind, that's all I really had time to do. This chat with this content, it was 20, 30 minutes. And I do top fast. So anyway, this is what she's saying to do. I got to contact theme support, and then if you look, she's talking about the theme guide for debut. So keep in mind, there are likely different theme guides for different themes, right? Now that's not uncommon for WordPress or the Shopify experience. Neither one of them, right? But the problem is that changing a theme means changing what you're doing and how you're doing it and relearning. And so what we've done is we wanted to get away from that. And so we wanted to get where you could change things and move things. One, because it's crazy important when you're trying to market. I mean, when you reposition things, what you find out is that you're able to sell a lot better at a higher level. A higher conversion ratio is the terminology. If the layout is right, if the presentation is right. There's a lot of if rights when you're building these things. And so anyway, I just asked if I could drag and drop to move stuff rather than go through all this hassle here. And she said, and I asked if it was a limitation. She says, nope. She goes, with the header, it's fixed with a built-in feature for this theme. So it's fixed for this theme. There are plenty of apps that would allow for drag and drop like Shogun. So if I bought the Shopify system and I wanted to just drag that header down below, then I have to get something called Shogun. Now that's one solution. So if we go to Shogun, we're going to see that is $39 a month. So you have to add that on top of your Shopify cost per month. And you get 1 hour of expert time. Now, if you study anything that I've taught, you know that this whole thing requires the expertise of a graphics person. And the reason being is the imagery, the colors, the fonts you use, everything you use is going to contribute to people either making a purchase or committing to a conversion or not. And so that's really, really critical to understand that. So you can see the dollars mounting up. And so if you're thinking you're going to buy into a Shopify system and do it that way, cost should not be the main factor in that decision-making process. There's a lot of cons to this solution. So then I want to show you kind of how our system would work. So I just started a blank page, So I'm going to start by hitting the little plus button, and I'm going to drag a photo into our solution. Now this is WordPress, supercharged, but it's WordPress. And I'm going to go in and select a photo, and there it is. And now I'm going to make it where it's the full width and full width. And I'm going to go here, and I'm simply going to remove the padding around it. But I want it all the way to the edge. So then I'm going to go to the photo, which is just click on the photo. And I'm simply going to remove it. So now I've got the photo going all the way to the edge on my web page. But I want to have that same row, and I want to have it above the photo. So how do we do that? We can simply take the text editor or a heading and just drag it. So I'm just going to put it where I want it. I want it here. And the word I wanted to use was North Carolina. And if I go to the styling option, I can center it. And I can also change any font I want to change it to. I can increase or decrease. I can style it. And I change the font, I can do all that stuff. And we basically have that done. Oh, we can also change the color, which some of the stuff you could have done in Shopify, but not all of it. Not everything I'm showing you here. So then if I click over here and I want to go over here, I can also tell it if I want to display it for large devices. So if I only want it to show up on mobile, I can show it mobile. If I want to be on medium or large, I can do that too. And so you've got a lot of flexibility, and it's instant. You see, this is the magic, because if you're a small business, you're not going to want to go investigate or pay somebody to investigate or pay somebody to do this, and then ultimately if you move out, now you've got to relearn and redo. WordPress, you never have to do that, and that's really important. So once we're in here, what we could also do is go to our column settings, and we can change our background to a color if we want. Let me scroll back up. And you're going to see I can change that to any color that I want to. Now that was also available. And then what I could do is drop in a new 2-row layout if I want to. And I could also move this above that if I want to. And if I go down to the background section, I could even say I want a photo. And if I move down the page, I can also overlay my orange, and I can decrease the opacity to show orange. So if I save that, now you see that I can easily move anything that I want to move to different places on the website. And it requires no coding. It requires no professional to hold your hand. And so as we're working through this, what we're trying to do is put the power in your hands as a small business, but also give us the ability to edit documents quickly, because we need to respond to whatever the data shows us. And to have to lean on a chat or a situation, it really bogs down the process. It really increases your overhead. Now, am I giving Shopify a robust review? No. I went in as a person that does this stuff. I went in and simply tried to create a header and put it where I wanted to on a page. That's all I tried to do. And I was unable to achieve it without their solution. So I think some arguments would be, number one is, yeah, but you're going to need a WordPress expert to put you in this situation. You're right, you will. But once you're published and once you're active, you can do anything you want to do. You can drag and drop videos. You just got to go grab your video from YouTube and just paste the code right there. You can drop in buttons, just drag them. You can resize the buttons. And so there's a lot of flexibility to this. And so the next question is, yeah, but they got the shopping thing down, right? Not really. WooCommerce is very, very popular today. And WooCommerce, the core of WooCommerce is also open source, which is really cool. But then there's extensions and add-ons, like for example, for subscriptions, or if you want to sell digital goods. I think digital goods in those are included. That was a bad example. But if you want to add other features to it, you can add tons of features to your WordPress environment. And there is a wealth of options for it depending on your specific business. So, and that's the biggest thing at the end of the day. Your business is unique. Your call to actions are unique. Where you service is unique. Your overall demographic picture is just, it's different. And what you've got to do is you've got to be able to react to that. And the more that you're waiting for something, or you're having to read documentation when you could just drag and drop, or when we just drag and drop and move it, we're able to act in a really agile fashion to get your business where it needs to go quicker and more efficiently. This kind of system's revolutionized the way we design. I mean, design is important. Don't get me wrong, design's important, and you should study, and you should put things into it. But at the same time, when a design is created, it's got to be flexible, and you got to be ready to change as you see what happens to people who are traveling to your website. And I can't stress that enough, that the days of picking some kind of theme or some kind of image and then building it and just setting it out there, those days are gone. We've got to react to what our customers want, and we have to give them the experience that they expect. Otherwise, you're not going to convert them into paying customers, which means your website is a failure. Now, does that mean Shopify is a failure? Absolutely not. It's not. It's got its place in the world. We just know when we get a 13.1% conversion ratio, which we have achieved that, we know that it's because we're able to run an agile website in an agile fashion. We're able to add, remove, do whatever we need to do. And so, check it out. Let me know what you think. I know there's some diehard Shopify people out there who are going to say, I'm not giving this a full chance or diving deep enough into it. And that's awesome. I want to know what I'm missing as far as this part of it. And, I'm going to get in there and play around with it again. It's been a year or so since I've been in there. I like to stay up to date on what's happening. And, again, it's a slick system, but I just don't think it's agile enough, especially for small businesses on a budget. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it.